Tonight, there is breaking news involving the inauguration. For the first time since Ronald Reagan, the brutal cold temperatures forcing President-elect Trump's inauguration indoors now, where the swearing in will now take place and how the day will unfold. You can watch it live all day, ABC on Monday. Rachel Scott is live on the Hill tonight with late reporting how this will work and what the president-elect is saying about this tonight. Also, that dangerous cold sweeping through not just Washington, D.C., but much of the country. The coldest air in 2 years for the eastern half of the nation. What to expect from Minnesota all the way to New York next week. Lee Goldberg standing by with the forecast. Tonight, by unanimous decision, the Supreme Court upholding the TikTok ban passed by Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate. The new law set to take effect Sunday amid concerns China could have access to millions of Americans and their personal information. Tonight, many American users now turning to another Chinese-owned app. Is there anything President-elect Trump can do? What he's signaling this evening. Tonight, there is breaking news involving the Mideast ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The Israeli government, this final vote just moments ago. The families of 33 hostages, including Americans, waiting for this vote. Back in the U.S. tonight, firefighters racing to use this window, a break in the winds, to contain two major fires in Southern California, with dangerous Santa Ana winds now in the forecast. Tonight, thousands returning to their neighborhoods for the first time. Matt Gutman showing us what they return to.
The expanse of the fire zone is so large that it takes 15 minutes to go from one end to the other by car.
And the investigation tonight into the cause of the fires. This is the moment the explosion of SpaceX's Starship rocket, not long after its test flight took off. Airline pilots in the air at the time reporting debris streaking across the sky. What we've learned tonight. And this evening here, we have a major announcement just moments away. From GMA to World News Tonight, Americans from across the country and what you can do right here in a moment. And what's been done already. This is extraordinary. SoCal Strong.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and we begin tonight here with the breaking news involving President-elect Trump's inauguration. The carefully orchestrated plans for the inauguration now shifting tonight, just 3 days before he takes the oath of office. Dangerously cold weather forcing the ceremony indoors. This is the first time since Ronald Reagan in 1985. The forecast calling for potentially the coldest inauguration day in 40 years. 23 degrees, the wind chill making it feel like 7 degrees for much of the day. Flags, seats, and the staging area, of course, had been already set up for Monday's ceremony. Crews have been working around the clock on this for months. They are now racing to prepare the Capitol Rotunda for what will be a much smaller event, but a warmer one. So what does this mean for the vast majority of ticketed guests? President-elect Trump saying, quote, tonight this will be a very beautiful experience for all, and especially for the large TV audience. Of course, we'll carry it all live right here on ABC on Monday. But how will this now work? We begin tonight with ABC senior political correspondent Rachel Scott leading us off.
Tonight, citing an Arctic blast sweeping the country, President-elect Donald Trump announcing he's moving Monday's inauguration indoors. I don't want to see people hurt or injured in any way, Trump writing on Truth Social. Therefore, I have ordered the inauguration address, in addition to prayers and other speeches, to be delivered in the United States Capitol Rotunda. Workers now already hard at work building the new stage. The last indoor inauguration 40 years ago in 1985.
So help me God. Congratulations, sir.
The temperature then just 7 degrees as Ronald Reagan was sworn into his second term in the Rotunda.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
The coldest inauguration since then, 2009, when Barack Obama stood outside to take the oath in 28-degree weather. Monday's forecast high for Washington is 23 degrees. Tonight, a rush to reimagine the day's festivities. While the massive outdoor platform could seat more than 1,000, the Rotunda will only be able to hold several hundred guests. Tonight, the Joint Congressional Inaugural Committee acknowledging the vast majority of ticketed guests will not be able to attend the ceremonies in person. Among those who will be allowed in, people with tickets for the presidential platform and members of Congress. Another major change, there will no longer be an inaugural parade down Pennsylvania Avenue. Instead, after his swearing in, Trump will travel to the nearby Capital One Arena to hold a celebration event there. This will be a very beautiful experience for all, promises the president-elect. Everyone will be safe. Everyone will be happy.
So, David, a lot of changes to Inauguration Day, but one tradition will return. President-elect Donald Trump plans to meet with President Biden at the White House for tea before he's officially sworn into office. The two met just right after the election, just weeks ago in the Oval Office. Of course, President-elect Donald Trump did not attend President Biden's inauguration, but Biden does plan to be there when Donald Trump takes the oath, David.
All right, we'll carry it all live right here on ABC on Monday. Rachel, you'll be here for that. But before we let you go tonight, we wanted to congratulate you on your promotion. Now ABC's senior political correspondent, reporting on the White House and Congress. And I have a feeling you're going to be very busy, Rachel.
Thank you, David. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you've never shied from the work, and you are a fantastic reporter and fantastic person. So congratulations. Couldn't happen to a better person. We're going to move on to the other news tonight. The brutal cold that Rachel just spoke of in Washington on Monday. It's not just D.C. It's sweeping across much of the country. The coldest air in 2 years for the eastern half of the country. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our station here in New York, WABC. All right, Lee, take us through it.
Sorry to bring the mood down, David. Yeah, vicious chill, far-reaching, has some staying power, too. It's coming into the northern plains now. Cold weather alerts from the Midwest all the way to Pennsylvania in early next week. That translates to wind chills 20 to 40 below from Minneapolis to Chicago. That's frostbite with exposure of 30 minutes or less, sub-zero wind chills all the way into the northeast early next week. The cold air in the east is unleashed by an I-95 snowstorm. That starts on Sunday morning and midday from D.C. to New York, late day in Boston, looking at a widespread 2 to 6 inches of snow, locally 8 inches. It's going nowhere with all this cold. It drives freezing temperatures all the way down to the Gulf Coast. We could see snow in New Orleans next week. David?
So brutally cold temperatures and now a snowstorm right up the I-95 corridor. A lot to watch, Lee. Thank you. Tonight, the Supreme Court upholding the TikTok ban passed by Republicans and Democrats in the House and Senate, signed by President Biden, amid concerns that China could have access to millions of Americans and their personal information. This new law now set to take effect on Sunday. What President-elect Trump is now signaling tonight, and what, if anything, can he do? We asked Terry Moran at the Supreme Court.
In what could be a final blow to TikTok, the Supreme Court unanimously upheld a law passed by Congress with bipartisan support that bans the app starting Sunday night unless it severs ties with its China-based owner. The ruling devastating to many of the 170 million people TikTok says use the app in the U.S.
I think it's kind of crazy that our government would even jump to these extremes.
But the court based its ruling on Congress's concerns about China's collection through TikTok of vast amounts of Americans' personal data. In an unsigned ruling, the justices declared that the law forcing a sale of TikTok is constitutional because Congress based it on well-supported national security concerns regarding TikTok's data collection practices and relationship with a foreign adversary. Millions of American businesses use TikTok.
TikTok is the only platform that truly pays creators of all sizes a living wage.
The ban goes into effect on the eve of Donald Trump's inauguration, and Trump has changed his tune. After trying to ban TikTok in his first administration, he now says he wants to save it because it helped him win this time.
You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points.
The president-elect saying today he discussed TikTok with Chinese President Xi Jinping, posting, "My decision on TikTok will be made in the not-too-distant future, but I must have time to review the situation. Stay tuned."
Hello, TikTok refugees from the U.S. Welcome to Red Note.
Some panicked TikTok users are now turning to alternative Chinese-owned apps like Red Note.
I don't think there's much you can do to stop this movement outside of banning every single app because everybody's on Red Note.
It's unclear what President Trump can do after he's inaugurated here. Presidents have some leeway on whether or not to enforce the law, but the only sure thing is if Trump can broker a deal to sell TikTok to a new buyer. There are negotiations going on, but any deal would have to be approved by China. David?
Terry Moran live at the court. Terry, we'll see you Monday for the inauguration. Can't wait for that and your coverage. We'll see you then. There is breaking news tonight, the Mideast ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The Israeli government and the final vote just moments ago. The families of 33 hostages, including Americans, have been waiting for this. Ian Pano with late reporting now.
Tonight, a major breakthrough in the war in Gaza. The Israeli government voting in favor of a temporary peace deal. Part 1 will see a ceasefire, the withdrawal of Israeli troops from populated areas, and the gradual release of 33 hostages over a 6-week period, including Americans Sagi Dekel-Chen and Keith Siegel, in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners starting Sunday. But while the talk is of peace, the bombing and dying in Gaza hasn't stopped. More than 100 people killed since the ceasefire was first announced, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Scenes of desperation and suffering in Gaza today as people clamour for a little food, while just across the border, trucks loaded with aid sit idle, waiting for this ceasefire to begin.
David, finally some good news for some of the families of the hostages, an end to their long nightmare. But in the words of the brother of one American hostage, until he holds his brothers in his arms, it isn't over. David?
That is very understandable. Ian Panel, thank you. Back here in the U.S. tonight, the dramatic images, the mid-air explosion of SpaceX's massive Starship rocket. You'll see it here tonight. And now the investigation. Here's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, these spectacular images of debris ablaze in the sky above the Caribbean, the SpaceX Starship breaking apart and crashing back down to Earth. The FAA now requiring SpaceX launch an investigation into the mid-flight failure.
Space vehicle mishap. A debris response area has been activated.
The incident forced flight delays and diversions around Florida. Some pilots concerned mid-air.
We've got a major streak going from at least 60 miles with all these different colors. Just curious, it looked like it was coming towards us.
This was the 7th test launch of the rocket. The reusable booster successfully hauled in by the so-called chopsticks of Mechazilla.
Mechazilla has caught the booster.
SpaceX lost communications with the ship just minutes later. Whoa! The company saying they believe a fire caused it to break apart.
SpaceX is asking anyone who finds debris to report it to them, and the Starship will be grounded until SpaceX and the FAA completes this investigation. David?
All right, Trevor Ault tonight. Trevor, thank you. Tonight, firefighters in California are using this very rare window, a break in the winds, to try to contain 2 major fires before dangerous winds are set to return next week. And tonight, thousands are just now seeing what's left of their neighborhoods. Matt Gutman again tonight.
Tonight, with a brief break from a series of red flag warnings, Southern California now shifting focus to restoration and repopulation. Streams of utility trucks and National Guards gridlocking streets in those fire zones. And late today, thousands of families finally being allowed to see what, if anything, is left of their neighborhoods. But many now returning to this painful reality. What you're seeing down there was the home that belonged to the Bailey family for 3 generations, and beyond, house after house, block after block, was the neighborhood that they lost. In fact, the expanse of the fire zone is so large that it takes 15 minutes to go from one end to the other by car. Relief operations reaching critical mass, all 3 LA sports stadiums now running donation drives. In Altadena, behind the Free Everything sign, we met a one-woman relief operation, Marcela Banuelos.
Do you want toilet paper or paper towels or anything?
These mounds of clothes are basically gone by the end of the day?
Basically, like half are usually gone by the end of the day.
She's running this donation center 14 hours a day, partly because her apartment burned too.
Oh my God.
Along with the homes of 10 of her family members and her community.
That's why I'm here, to keep my mind busy and not really think about it.
And David, a short time ago, LA's Mayor Karen Bass announcing an independent investigation into the response to these fires. David.
All right, Matt Gutman, our thanks to you again tonight. And we hope you'll stay with us here because in just a moment here, a major announcement tonight. What viewers at home watching this evening can do right here this evening, a major reveal on what's being done. We can't wait for that. Also ahead here tonight in New York City, a bus dangling from an overpass. And there is news coming in tonight on a legendary broadcaster in a moment. Tonight, here the images of a bus in New York City hanging off an overpass in Riverdale. The front of the bus going off the side. A union official saying the driver lost control trying to maneuver around a parked car. No passengers on board. No one was hurt. Quite something. When we come back here tonight, news coming in this evening on Dick Vitale. And we have a major announcement right here tonight after so much devastation. To the Index, legendary sportscaster Dick Vitale is returning to work following his battle with cancer. ESPN tonight reporting he will call January 25th's men's college basketball game between Duke and Wake Forest back after nearly 2 years. Welcome back, Dick Vitale. And when we come back here tonight, a major announcement right here and what you can do. Finally tonight here, America Strong, SoCal Strong. From Good Morning America to World News Tonight and across our ABC-owned stations, KABC included, the power of that QR code right in the corner of your screen tonight. You might want to capture it with your phone.
It was just 1 week ago, that first flight.
CAL FIRE giving us the first look at the devastation. The Pacific Coast Highway, the homes in Malibu, gone.
You can see it right over the shoulder here. Home after home just completely gone.
Moments later, we were over Pacific Palisades in ashes. Neighborhood after neighborhood erased by the fire. And with a break in the winds, the fight we witnessed from the air.
That helicopter just dropped water from the air. 3 days into this disaster, they are still fighting fires here, and they have a tool now at their disposal, which is water in the air.
Tonight, 1 week later, amid so much loss, it's the strength of the firefighters and of the families here that is part of the story, too. We won't forget 21-year-old Jacob Brown, who we met. He then documented his first trip back.
Hey, David, I'm sure you saw. The entire town is gone. Our lives, our homes, our friends, everyone has lost everything. I don't understand how you can attempt to rebuild an entire community without schools and roads and homes. It's devastation beyond the comprehensible.
The haunting moment ringing the doorbell of a friend's home. It still rings, but behind it, there was nothing.
Hey, David, this is Galway Street.
Tonight, he sent us this message, the hope, even amid the devastation.
Palisadians are damn resilient, and they're going to come back better than before. We're going to build back better and the strong as hell, best believe.
And from Pacific Palisades to Altadena, the strength of the people here.
Hi, David.
Restaurant owner Sandra Cordero, part of World Central Kitchen's Chef Corps. She's now offering up her kitchen to cook for families in need.
We got in the restaurant this morning at 4, cooked up 1,000 meals that we're about to hand out here.
More than 50 Los Angeles restaurants are working with World Central Kitchen. Nearly 170,000 meals now delivered to families and to crews helping in these communities.
Some lunch. It feels good to be able to nourish people in these really difficult times.
And from across the country tonight, from Waterford, Michigan, nonprofit disaster relief at work, sending a truckload, buckets full of supplies for families.
Hi, David.
Executive Director Greg Martin.
One of the buckets that we sent out to California was our family bathroom bucket. It's got bathroom supplies for an entire family of 4 that's been displaced. We got bath towels. We also have soap and shampoo, toothpaste and toothbrush, brush here, and deodorant. Stick in some baby wipes. Hopefully, this allows people to get all their stuff at once rather than having to go get one thing at a time.
More than 500 buckets on the way.
But I know that millions of Americans are ready to walk this walk with you because there are going to be better days ahead. We're going to get through this together.
From Portsmouth, Virginia.
Hey, David. My name is Molly McDonald with Mercy Chefs.
Mercy Chefs bringing in volunteers from across the country to L.A., handing out 10,000 meals and counting.
Right now, our volunteers, they've come from all over. They're putting love into every single one of these plates, going all over the area for victims and first responders.
And this evening, the help from so many Americans who've been watching here. Ginger Z at the LA Regional Food Bank Distribution Center. 600,000 pounds of food packed just today, the most they've done in more than 50 years.
I'm here at the LA Regional Distribution Site for food banks all over the Los Angeles region. Obviously, there's going to be so much more need. They have said that as of today, they are needing more than they've ever needed in their 51-year existence.
And tonight, there is hope across Southern California that Americans from all over will be inspired to help, in part because of the firefighters fighting the fires, and in Altadena, it's the firefighters finding the hope, too. We met the mother and wife searching for her treasured wedding ring, and suddenly it was a firefighter who called out. He'd found something in the ash. It was the wedding ring she was so hoping to find.
Hi, David.
Victoria DeSantis grateful to that firefighter and grateful to everyday Americans tonight who've watched and who've helped. SoCal Strong.
I know we're going to rebuild and it's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to have all my neighbors in our backyard again, toasting to the next chapter.
The strength of the people, the bravery of the firefighters. And we want to reveal that since our special SoCal Strong kicked off on GMA, ABC viewers already raising nearly $7 million. You can go to abcnews.com or simply capture that QR code right there in the corner of your screen to help. I'm David Muir. Thank you. Good night.
David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, the most watched newscast in America, and honored with the Emmy Award, winner for Outstanding Live News Program.